air in Constantinople tasted of salt, fear, and the distant tang of iron. For Leo, a man of 20 summers who scratched out a meager living copying texts for minor officials, the approaching doom felt less like a grand historical event and more like a tightening noose around his own throat. He wasn't a soldier, not like the men drilling nervously on the walls, their faces grim beneath worn helmets. He wasn't a priest offering solace he himself couldn't find. He was just Leo, son of a respected, if impoverished family, burdened by expectations he couldn't possibly meet. "You must find your place, Leo," his uncle had boomed just days ago, his voice thick with desperation. "The Emperor calls upon all able-bodied men. Your knowledge of letters, it will not protect you when the Turk is at the gates." Emperor Constantine the Ninth, a figure of stoic, weary defiance, was often seen traversing the city, rallying spirits that were increasingly fragile. Leo had seen him once, a distant silhouette on a parapet, a symbol of a world clinging precariously to existence. But seeing the Emperor didn't fill Leo with patriotic fervor. It filled him with a hollow dread. The Emperor's battle was for an empire. Leo's battle was for himself. His struggle was not with the impending Ottoman host, but with the suffocating weight of identity. For generations, his family had served the bureaucracy, guardians of dusty scrolls and fading decrees. The path was laid out. Follow in his father's footsteps, become another cog in the imperial machine. Dedicate his life to a system that felt in his bones already broken. Yet Leo yearned for something else. He devoured the few books he could find, tales of ancient philosophers, of distant lands, of crafts that shaped wood and metal rather than words on parchment. He dreamed of escaping the city before the inevitable, of finding a place where he could build something new, where his worth wasn't measured by his lineage or his willingness to defend a dying past. This internal conflict gnawed at him daily. He saw men embracing their roles, the soldiers finding purpose in defense, the priests in prayer, the merchants in hoarding what little wealth remained. They seemed to know who they were in this crisis. Leo felt adrift. Was he a coward for wanting to flee? Was he a traitor to his family for not embracing their legacy? These questions mirrored the anxieties of his world, the clash between tradition and change, between loyalty to a collective and the pursuit of individual dreams. One evening, as the sounds of distant hammering on siege engines echoed across the Golden Horn, Leo sat alone in his small room, illuminated by a single flickering lamp. Spread before him were two things: a worn family signet ring, a symbol of his inherited duty, and a crudely drawn map he had painstakingly pieced together from fragments showing routes out of the city. He thought of his younger sister Alara, her eyes wide with a fear she tried to hide. If the walls fell, what would become of her? His family expected him to stand with them, to face whatever came with Roman stoicism. But what if survival meant abandoning the sinking ship? What if his true duty was not to a fading empire, but to the possibility of a future, any future, for himself and perhaps Ilara? The grand narratives of empire, of holy wars, of the clash of civilizations, they were happening outside his window, embodied by the distant sight of Ottoman campfires and the resolute yet increasingly desperate pronouncements of figures like Emperor Constantine IX. But inside Leo, the battle was quiet, personal, and agonizing. It was a battle against the inertia of expectation, against the fear of stepping into the unknown, against the very identity he was supposed to inherit. He picked up the signet ring, its weight familiar and heavy. Then his fingers traced the lines on the map. The fall of the Byzantine Empire was a monumental event, a turning point in history. But for Leo, it was a catalyst for a far more intimate struggle, the fight to define himself, not by the past collapsing around him, but by the uncertain path he might dare to forge in the face of its ruin. His survival wouldn't be won on the battlements, but in the silent, courageous act of choosing his own future. The siege might be coming for the city, but Leo's personal battle had already begun.